this and this one? So that we can.
Yeah.
Oh, they can have both.
Parallel, yeah.
Yeah, we can have both.
You could try, yes, actually.
Is that too, should we steal a screen from the neighboring room?
I don't think we really need it.
I think that's okay, actually.
So, if you end your sleep mode, go online again.
So under technology, was this created yesterday night after we brainstormed? Yes?
No, this is
No, that's,
one
It's
that's
a
had all along.
pre-existing
That's
document.
paper
Okay.
from.
This is what we presented
Yes,
at
Okay.
the World Space Congress.
All right.
And so for instance, on Ted's spreadsheet, these super titles should be inserted somewhat similar to this, where they're in here, but they're a title to cover all of these topics here, for instance.
Well, it
In
should
other
be-
words, you wouldn't
well,
put an X under here.
It would be reorganized a little bit, I suppose, because under there,
No, wait a minute. Getting all of those things rolled into one is only a standard approach to go by if you're going down the architecture path.
Well, that's what I think we need to talk out, because I think we might be able to come up with some generic super titles that will apply to everything.
Well, you know, okay.
You've made that argument yourself in that engineering and architecture came from the same roots in history. So if we start off with that, if you have you have engineering history, you know, whether or not the engineers go back and study their roots or not.
Okay, I'll grant, that's fine then, but I feel as if, you know, when we wrapped this up, we were really out of time. And we could have gone, I think, easily another half hour before we really felt comfortable with wrapping it up. So I would feel more comfortable at this point in time if we all just, you know, looked at this list and felt that we agreed that as everything we could think of was represented on it.
Yeah, let's do
And
that.
then start maybe breaking it down into sub and super titles.
Yes, that would work, except that if we, well, I'm thinking if
It won't be complete, and it is not, but I would be also interested just to see what the result is. And maybe the result is not very satisfactory because maybe architecture and aerospace have all the same crosses or not. And I think
I mean, has everybody
just
had a
a trial.
chance to look at all of the things that are on the list yet? You know, could we start there? And just go over it again
I
on
think
both axes.
I have only one comment, if I can. Systems engineering, I mean, is that an engineering course available in the universities? It's something
Yes.
we do in
Yes.
at
Yeah.
NASA and
There
so
are,
on.
no, it's a curriculum.
Really?
You can get a degree in it.
yeah, the institutes
interesting.
for systems engineering.
Another thing that I did today, I downloaded some other information, such as the this is also in the handout, such as industrial design, and it's kind of a similar thing that we're trying to do here.
It's
And
in
then-
industrial engineering.
Yeah, it was supposed to be design.
Industrial design, it should be.
I wrote ID, I remember, on the board, so
Yeah.
that was probably just a typo.
There's a big difference between industrial engineering and industrial design.
And I attempted to go for naval architecture. You have this as well, but it doesn't.
Good catch.
It's not really. Not quite as complete. I don't know how much this would help, but at least we know. You know, naval architecture is very. There's a big parallel there because they deal with the human complement as well as everything being in a moving vehicle. And
Submarines are very good analogs. in that.
yes, very, very good. And especially when you start to think about submarines and some of these vehicles that are in isolation.
I think
for
one of the things I
months at
had
a time.
on there or wanted to put was transportation design.
Design, yeah. I was thinking
Yeah.
of design.
We added a lot in the last few minutes after you guys left because we were like, wait, this isn't, you know, so we
Yeah.
just threw down a lot of stuff. But
But
Well-
sometimes a little vague to me whether
But I
these
don't-
titles go on the column or on the row.
Yeah, because for example,
I don't see
mechanical engineering
transportation
is
design, but I might
on
have
the
had it.
column
It shouldn't
and
be engineering.
systems
in theory.
engineering is in the row, so I don't know why.
Well,
it's not-
It
well,
shouldn't be
well,
engineering.
we ran
here, it
across
should be
that a few
mechanics,
times.
Not mechanical engineering.
Well, there you go.
Ted, do you have
Mechanical,
these
okay,
items
that's
in there,
fair.
at least? The ones that we.
Everything
come
from
out
that
of this?
paper last year?
Yeah.
In the spreadsheet? No,
Right.
I didn't copy all that stuff over.
I don't think we got transportation design into the what column.
No, we didn't put transportation.
Okay.
You have physics and thermodynamics up there in 2 columns. Shouldn't that just be physics?
There's a lot of stuff that I think is
Yeah,
not,
we need to.
you know, some things are redundant, some things are inconsistent.
What is the vertical column? What is that?
Well, let's just go down
What
these.
topics
The
person should
the rows
master
are areas of knowledge,
and horizontal.
and the columns are educational tracks that will give you those.
Can you follow?
And then we put
Alright.
X's or something in these boxes.
Well, I think that definitely needs organizing this list, but probably not now. But
But
I
if we
find
don't organize it now, it's going to be wicked hard to work with. Right.
Yeah,
But I would
that's what I'm
offer
saying.
that
See-
it's probably easier for one person to try to reorganize it and then give it to everybody for review than,
We could
The
spend
committee
4
tried to
hours
reorganize it.
discussing this if we
Yeah.
want to.
but
Once it's
because
these 3 right here, that's,
I would tend to just say history rather than pull
put them all
that.
together, yeah.
Yeah.
And like you say, physics includes physics is
Thermodynamics,
everything.
exactly.
Thermodynamics.
I remember when I
Yeah.
wrote down
Yeah.
history,
No, it's
excuse me,
not true.
time. When I wrote down history, somebody said architectural history, and I suddenly realized, you know, I've taken many history courses in college. Not one of them touched aerospace or aeronautical history, and only one of them touched architectural history. You know, I mean, they are specific,
Well,
you know, so.
For consistency, if we're going
But then you
to
make a
if we're going to
cross
qualify
in the
these, we should
discipline.
qualify this. What is it? Political history, world history, general history.
I have a point here. I mean, if I look
I
at
don't
this
argue
here
with
and if
that.
I look at that there, even there we should maybe have general education categorized together, history and theory together, maybe, or just history together, theory together, technology together.
Yeah, and
That
so,
makes
that's
sense.
what I mean,
So,
that's why I'm talking about super
Okay,
topics. So if
alright.
we could come up with some super topics that would
Okay.
cover everything
Yeah,
that we all
makes
agree
sense.
with, then it would help us to organize and perhaps even help us remember things as well.
Okay.
No, I see your point though, is, you know, coming up with the super topics in the first place might come out of finding a whole list of stuff. But,
Well, we've got the list. Ted, could you maximize that frame?
now this particular set of super topics is basically this is, you know, standards that have been around for perhaps 100 years in architecture in the United States.
Both directions. We
Yeah.
don't need it that way.
And it works really well.
The
So we know
first-
that's a good model
Yeah,
that
the
works
first super
in architecture.
topic I think should be skills rather than general education because it's all skills.
Yes, well,
I mean, if we are coming up with ideas for super topics,
and then in design, which this is you guys'
skills,
list, then
technology.
there's all kinds of stuff like that that are
You want bigger
parallel.
text?
That's great.
I would add perhaps, and I don't know if it makes sense, this place that's kind of general knowledge.
Yeah, but then the text
You're,
is too small.
that's not an education, but I think that's very important.
Let's try it.
Yeah, and actually page 2 of this, which is also in there, that was in the ID thing, has a lot of that as well. Just basic personal skills and things like that.
I can read it, but I don't know that everybody
Doubt if
could.
anybody with that.
Well,
Yeah,
let's have the people in the back move forward.
there you go.
Okay.
Is that okay with everybody?
I'll complain if I want to complain.
So what are we doing now?
Now-
Coming up with super topics? Is that what we're
Oh,
doing?
Mark went away.
Yeah, what do you think? Let's come up with super topics?
But doesn't it make sense, first of all, to make all the crosses and so on? Because I think there will be some points will be completely.
Let's work back and forth. Let's work from both ends.
Yeah.
From the bottom of the list to the top of the list. So you start out with we have super topics, and if we find out we need another super topic because we missed a top something, then
Okay.
do that. So I propose that we start out with these, and then the architectural ones, and then hash those out. See if those are appropriate.
Yeah, okay.
Because we know that model works.
Well, okay, what are your super topics?
First
So-
one is skills, I think.
General skills.
Yeah, instead of general education, just skills. Or general
Just
skills.
going to go to the
Well, the
bottom.
problem with that is you could put the word skills after many of the other things in the other boxes, I think.
Well, general skills. So you have general skills, which are just reading or
Writing and arithmetic?
Yeah, but I mean, there's some things you just have to take for granted. I mean,
Well, that's
Yeah.
I'm wondering,
if we try to list everything that everybody
the
has to
ability
do.
to use a router?
I don't think it's worthwhile to
Oh
list.
yeah, you don't want to start out in first
Troubleshooting
grade
skills.
education and
Exactly.
start listing everything you
You
have.
assume that a
Well,
professional person
well,
has
the
certain skills.
AIAA felt important, and the NAAB, and they felt important enough to at least list those.
Those are good. I don't.
And
The point is, if we start to add every other
anything else.
general skill, it could become countably long.
Well, I mean, I have no problem
This
with
covers
starting with
pretty
what we
much
had in that paper.
All the main
Just build on that.
collaborative,
wanna do that,
design, critical thinking, problem solving.
We really need to put under general, that's general architecture education, Daryl.
Yeah, but we can start with that, and then if we need more super topics,
add
we'll
or
add
subtract.
super
Can we
topics.
add, well,
I
so we're
think
gonna
the
call it
suggestion
general
was-
education and add more topics into it?
We could,
Then
yeah.
just the ones of general architectural
Right.
education?
Yes.
Okay,
Add.
I'll go with that then.
So,
Gen Ed.
yeah, but
You could also call it the core curriculum.
Let me make an observation that the stuff you got from the ID, there's also super topics. There are categories that they've got their things lumped into.
Yeah,
Some of which are consistent, complementary, or conflicting with.
Yes, and so that's why
And so we have two lists of super topics that we could try to,
well, except that we don't have a list of super topics
for Aero.
for the ID.
yes, on page 18 you do.
Except that you can see that doesn't correspond with the page 16 version. These are kind of this one is getting into more the reading, writing, arithmetic type thing that we don't necessarily want to put everything in there.
Well, the 16 says technical skills. And then 18 looks
Hey, I
like
like
other
driver's
stuff.
licenses. It's on there. It's easier than using a router.
Can be important getting a job.
Oh, I like this. Next to driver's licenses is semiotics and sense of style.
Sense of stuff.
Okay, well,
management hires, fires.
But there are quite some skills in that list which I think are more
I think I
typically
would add
developed in
one
a
more
in a
skill
design
under this one, the general ed,
application.
and I would add problem solving skills.
Language.
We'll worry about formatting this later.
and so in there we're going to end up putting, right? We're going to end up moving stuff, other stuff that's in that column now, like
Yeah, we'll have to do some,
philosophy,
we have to do some moving,
And-
cutting and pasting on drawings and stuff.
interpersonal
You want me to
communication.
just start by copying this? You want me
Yeah,
to
just
sit here and
copy
type?
that,
You
yeah.
talk and I'll
Might as
type
well.
the stuff in.
General
Yeah.
education.
You know, on the list for the front paper, under the Aerospace Architecture Extensions, I mean, you know, this is maybe superfluous, but, you know, consumables, you have under different line, you have consumables of life support and radiation shielding and fire safety and then thermal control and airlocks and EDA. Couldn't that all just be habitat systems?
Do you think that should be another super topic, or?
In aerospace it is.
Yeah, I'm just suggesting that. Because they're all, you know, they're all spacecraft and vehicle systems.
Could I ask the two guys in the bleachers to move forward so I don't have to come up here and use the Zoom when you want to talk?
Is that close enough, Mark?
That's fine. Well, that's better anyway.
Hey, you see my,
What is life safety system?
Yeah, that's okay,
Life
Kurt.
support or something else? What's life safety?
life support.
Yeah.
Which side?
What's
is-
life safety under technology?
The life safety, so that's, the one on the left is terrestrial architecture, so that's, like,
Alarms and fire smoke alarms and what
or
life
egress, or,
emergencies sort of escape.
yeah, and then, ratings of materials for fireproofing and all kinds of stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
Building envelope.
Oh, there's a lot of overlap.
So I think we need to come up with our own list here. This is a good structural, environmental,
Here is like the equivalent.
space programs. Yeah. So harsh environment, I would call it extreme environment.
So, so as far as super topics, what do you think, is it,
Science and technology.
we have one suggestion, let me do that. So there's one possibility of, what were you saying, Kurt?
I just call it habitat systems, and that takes, let's see, line 2, line 3, half of line 4, and line 5, and consolidates them.
And which page is that?
This is on page 9 of the handout that I have here. After you write that down, I'm not done.
So that includes just name, instead of saying the line number, tell
Okay, consumables and life support, radiation shielding and fire safety, thermal control, airlocks, and EVA are all habitat systems. Anybody have any?
Yeah, the rest-
Well, things like waste management,
Or is that?
it's not,
Yeah. We just say habitat systems, we kind of cover all this stuff.
well, it's good to.
Well, let's get it straight,
Let's
because
get them all
that's,
down, yeah.
habitats is, for example, Biomplex, the systems were water recovery, air recovery, thermal.
Waste
ICS.
systems, your revitalization.
I mean, we can get specific and all kinds of really,
I don't know if we have any.
Isn't that part of my-
No, I- no.
or
Information and control
alternatively, we could
systems.
just go to, get a, I'm sure if we got there's probably a NASA document that lists exactly the super topics you're gonna wanna put in here, based on, you could pick probably any mission, space shuttle, space station,
Yeah.
the human, and just look at the system labels, and all of those would probably be the right super topics you'd be looking for from aerospace.
Avionics, power,
Everything would be-
thermal,
Reason why-
environments.
Reason why I'm not getting more specific
Pyrotechnics,
is
not-
because, I mean, we
not
can sell
average
things to your own,
habitat.
talk about fermentation
On Earth.
systems that may or may not be in the spacecraft. You know, that kind of thing.
It's a big one if you're trying to lose those solid rockets.
The other thing I would consolidate is, see, this says space structures,
Yes.
and then down here we have pressure vessels.
Uh-huh.
That's all space structures.
Pressure vessel is a space structure.
Okay,
I agree.
but we have, but the other thing that we have is we have, yeah, the reason that this is separated is because over here on the left, we have building envelope systems, and this was somewhat of a parallel with that. And that's why we separated that out. But since we're doing different topics, then we might as well just pull it out. Space structures doesn't have to be a pressure vessel, but a pressure vessel is a space structure.
Yeah.
So let's keep them separate, keep them both in there.
And where does debris
Oh, you know.
shielding come in? Or is that on the space shuttle?
Yeah.
Debris shielding.
I had it under, I was thinking of it being under environments, further up, because, you know, radiation, debris shielding, that kind of stuff typically goes.
Under environmental
Plume
protection.
heating, not under, well,
Well,
that's not,
radiation protection, debris shielding, I'll be willing to claim, is part of the vehicle, the structure. Again, you know, we have to realize we're dealing not with just structures. We've got vehicles, we've got human incarcerated and unmanned things.
both of the orbital spacecraft teams I worked on, there were individual members of the central team that represented environments, as well as the structures team would respond to the inputs of the environments lead. But the environments lead was the one bringing the data about the radiation, the debris shielding, and leading the tests. You know, both of those things are true, I think. It's not the same as environmental systems, but we already know that, so.
So, radiation, what's that category, Constance?
Goes under environments.
Environments?
Yeah. Which we may want to find like a somewhat different word for it, because I mean, for us, it's quite confusing, I think. Those of us who do environmental systems to deal with landscaping or just the built environment, you know.
Environmental response?
Ooh.
Well, NASA has a term called ECLIS, Environmental Control and Life Support.
That's under systems.
It's just the word,
That's like
the word is used way too much to mean so many different things. It's kind of,
Okay.
like, you know, that's, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, ECLIS is space HVAC.
Yeah.
Well, it's also thermal, it's also waste management.
I think I like the idea of ECLIS because it's a well understood term and everyone knows
Space
what
community will know
belongs
it.
in there.
But in a few years, they might have a different.
Oh, only
If
if
you
you're coming from
come up with-
aerospace.
Yes, of course.
But if you're an
yes.
architecture student who wants to do this,
Like
you'd
there
be
used to
like,
be
what?
cells, and now there's
Right.
ALS.
Well, then
But
that's-
I probably would leave
Well.
it and not sum it up on the habitat system, because if we really do this, like as an architecture student, he sees habitat systems, he has no idea. He sees ECLIS, he finds information about that more clearly, and that's something you can look at as one thing. And then radiation shielding is also really a topic you need to look at.
Wait a minute. I don't know, I'm not sure exactly what you just argued for, but what I'm thinking you said, I guess I would disagree with. It seems to me good to break out the subtopics, to break down the jargon on both sides or all sides of this issue down into comprehensible, you know, everyday type of topics, so that no matter where you're coming from, you can sort of get an idea of what this is that you're approaching. It also helps to, I think, in the further future, establish the relationships in specific areas between things that strategies that are developed for space that transfer into terrestrial technology. So if we just call it ECLIS, we don't have an opportunity, for example, to develop waste recovery systems for spacecraft that become usefully transferred to terrestrial habitats. Not as clearly. It's not as, you know what I'm saying, in these categories? I'm not sure if that's enough of a virtue all by itself, but that strikes me as a virtue of organizing things more simply and mundanely.
I think science and technology sort of covers both science and technology topics in this table.
So on
I would call it
technology,
science
you
and
would add
technology.
science and technology.
Science, because there's orbital mechanics.
And that we could include physics and
That's
everything.
science.
Yeah.
That's
Astronomy.
Science. Science and technology includes
Or
science.
shouldn't we have science as a separate one? Since
Yeah,
we're
I
obviously
think that-
arguing that we need the
That's a
capabilities to
possibility.
research, to get data as architects if you go to space.
But
So
we'll have to
science
split
itself is
hairs
another
on
subtopic.
science and technology.
Put that down as a possibility.
Or super topic.
Yeah, super topic.
Yeah.
Well, it should go in
I would
that.
agree. Science
Well-
all by itself, it makes, well, go ahead and write it down.
He's still writing.
Yeah,
his-
Andreas, he's
this
working,
diagram.
so this is why I thought it would be good to have both things going, so we could
Yeah.
write at the same time.
My only concern is if we separate science and technology, then we'll be splitting hairs on things which overlap both science and technology.
But you know, we can put, overlap is okay, I think. I mean, if the same X is in both places, it just suggests that,
Well, science is theory and technology is application.
yeah.
Science
I mean,
is all about new
I
knowledge.
see
fundamental
technology, well,
knowledge.
tell me what you think. I see technology as fitting pretty neatly inside of engineering, but
Yeah, engineering
Is that not
definitely
true?
is a technology thing.
it's what it's.
And that's
Well,
exactly
I guess I've lost the
where it
point
is in
here.
architecture.
It's not clear if you're arguing things to go down the left or things to go across the top.
That's what I have
Well-
trouble with sometimes. Yeah, I think
It is
The
supposed to
columns-
be-
the
it's supposed to be
columns
up
should
and
be-
down.
Okay, so up and
Academic
down is
programs.
technical, is competencies, technical
Right.
and non-technical. So why don't we start out with technical and non-technical and then further subdivide those sort of hierarchically until we run out of time ideas or.
And
Because
then,
that's what we're talking about,
I
right?
think that's what we're
Super
trying
topics
to
would be technical and non-technical.
Yeah.
And we have a whole bunch of non-technical stuff, right?
Right.
Interpersonal
Yeah.
skills and all that crap.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I
So
think
under technical, then you could split that up in many different dimensions if you wanted to.
Well,
Oh,
if
we
we,
got a sign too.
if we only have two, if we have two
And
super
the signature
topics,
sheet.
technical and non-technical, it might not be as helpful as if we just.
I'm not saying we keep those, I'm saying we start there
Yeah,
and we divide it into two mutually exclusive classes, which at least at the high level seems easy, technical and non-technical.
yeah,
Now, once we get a bunch of topics, super topics under technical and non-technical, we just erase those two terms completely. And then we have more super topics.
What would make it, why is that easier?
I think.
Because we have a lot of topics and we have agreed on that we start looking, but we're taking this kind of
Can I ask you something? Are you
structure
putting these
and things, how far we
vertical
can get
axes
with
about
that.
it?
Those are rows, yeah.
Yeah, those are.
Well,
Okay.
my original suggestion was to just
I'm
copy
gonna
all
ask
those into
everybody.
the.
Yeah,
that's what he's doing.
And on the next page is gonna be the signature sheet that goes on the final document. Because we're gonna wanna know.
but the thing
But we're
is,
trying to just categorize this big long list of things on the left axis, correct?
yes, and decide on super topics, which, and we started off with the architecture model because we know that works, at least in one frame.
Right.
Also on the
And then,
theory that we're building on architecture.
Yeah.
I mean, we're debating that also, but one theory is that it's an extension of architecture. So
Right.
we're starting with that.
And then can we add other super topics such as science, because architects do not study science. Well,
Well,
there is to a certain extent. You have
not to the
materials
extent
and
that you-
stuff like that.
Should we
Right.
add some subsets to science, like research, theory,
Well,
methodology?
Yeah.
Or do we need that, or we keep it
No,
I think-
no, no,
as
we keep it just science.
science?
Science. That's it.
It's
Because
basically a
yeah.
skill
Well,
set.
yes,
Science
yes.
is a skill set.
So what will go under
Well,
science then?
Well, except, yeah, science would be a super topic, and so we would have subtopics.
Yeah, but
under that.
do we need them? Because it's basically in each science you have a certain skill set about, you do research, you have a methodology about doing research, you do theory building, comparable. We could split that up, but it's probably
Yeah, but it's really
similar
interesting to know
to
what
each
is the
science.
content. I mean, is it what
Signing mine
is
into a
it
blank contract.
research?
Yeah.
Wonderful me not to do
It
that.
keeps you committed,
Case
doesn't
studies,
it?
or is it something else? Because it's,
Science?
I'm making a signature sheet too.
is it,
What are the other, I guess,
is it about how
A new one for
to
this chart.
work scientifically
Oh, okay.
with
Remember?
science? Or
Is that what I was passing around?
No, that was just sign
you
in.
were define the final
Email
address.
address.
I
Yeah. It's
don't
different.
know,
It's
bound
everybody's-
somehow.
Yeah, in order to, be
Yeah.
an architect or ultimately
So,
a space,
I think
an
you'll
aerospace
make it clear.
architect, you do not have to study all science.
no, but the methodology, how you
I'm
you
taking
gain
liberties
new
with this
knowledge,
list
and
and changing it.
science has a
That's
specific
okay, yeah.
Dropping the word
It's your
building.
prerogative,
Yeah.
dude,
But you ever take
You're
a
one of the
class in
authors.
science methodology?
but I won't tell. You're one of the,
no,
on the
but
principal office.
it's really, it really could help, if somebody tells you how, to approach and
Right, but is
write
there,
a case
So Scott, when this
In
one
a
is
in a
edited,
university
it means
curriculum,
this
is
is
there a class in
included
science
here already.
methodology?
No,
that's
what we
I
did
think in
is,
some studies,
in,
there will be.
Well, my point is,
Are you
if
sure?
you take biology, for instance,
we
you
wrote
learn
this
about
with the
scientific
assumption that
method,
this
you know,
was
in
not
doing your
gonna
study
be
of
a
biology.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a stepping up.
But,
But, and then what, the other thing
That's what-
is, these are all.
That's what I'm getting to, is that there's
Well,
a
you
limited
can-
number
Suggested
of
by
science
the
topics
And
that we really
from
need.
here we got
And we
ideas
probably ought to
about
just
And,
this
and
one.
what I tried to do is I tried to put parallel.
Just the topics that you need to have at
Well,
least
very
some
start.
familiarity
And
with.
this,
on the left-hand
if
column.
you have
All
this,
right.
And,
Okay.
And I think that what we're trying to do
No,
now
No,
is
basically
had a
enough
good
for us to have
size,
familiarity,
good
wants to get
size.
fresh familiarity.
if this.
Okay,
Even
that's
at
a super
advanced
topic.
high school or junior college
Not
level.
here in the first place.
Yeah.
It's a super.
pick another super topic.
You really
Let's see.
remember it?
Which is-
Yeah, no, because I'm
I don't know,
I
I'm trying
agree
to,
with you, I just
I
wonder.
guess when I see another super
that
topic
is,
come
you know,
up
they're
with
gonna
science,
be able to
I'm trying to
ever,
figure out
you
which
know,
of these
the
things
space
we want to
compound
science.
and everything.
And that way you'll have
Okay,
no
but
competition.
We're struggling with
Because
the
we get
first one,
grandfathered
so
in.
let's pick
You
the
wrote,
second one.
Yeah, but
Agree
this
with
is,
this
you
one.
know,
These will probably all
Then,
go
you
So
under.
make sure your name is on that sheet.
then why don't we get some weapons, you know?
Alice,
just
transcribe this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll all just go, so the super topics,
In a
and then
more
all of
easy
these
way.
go under.
Yes, I know.
They'll all
Alice,
go
help us.
Alice, sign the sheet.
Yeah, I don't know what this means.
Okay, so what's another super topic?
Architecture practice. What
Alice
is
is
it
a
for
member of
that?
our group, is not here.
He's not speaking.
Well,
under.
Okay, shall we do like, I mean, on the science, we could put the physics in science.
All right.
Yes, I would say that physics
And
belongs
then
under
it's
science.
No, no, I disagree. Physics is not science.
It goes under drawing
Well, but we
skills.
could include economics under science.
No.
Economics goes under social science.
Okay,
Economics
so
is
why don't we
science.
pick some more super topics, and then we can see if they're
Hash them
mutually
out.
exclusive
Yeah.
or not, because that's sort of the goal, right?
Yeah.
We'd like to create a set of mutually exclusive super topics.
Barbara and
Do it-
Serena didn't get
Do you
it.
want to suggest social science
Okay.
constants as a super topic?
I would suggest social science
Okay.
as a super topic.
Social science.
Would that replace environment and behavior, or?
Well,
No,
we'll
no,
talk
no.
about it. Let's just put them all
Well,
down.
We're
and then see.
making up super topics right now.
Yes, looks like it. But
Actually, why
don't
put
change,
these
your-
other topics
you
down
you do what you're
already?
doing.
Well,
and
I
look
just
what we're doing.
finished
Oh, you're
typing in.
finished.
Oh, no, now we got a problem.
But I'm willing to wait,
Yeah,
and wait instructions.
general skills.
Now, there are, in many colleges, there are majors called communications. They do not refer, which involves film,
I think
it
history
involves
is
presentation
really,
skills, it involves
me,
graphics.
Because
Right. Where newspaper
Philosophy.
reporters.
Journalism.
Organizational principles belong under
EAOs.
science, because it's not theory, I mean,
And it's
science.
somewhere in between
Oh,
the two
yeah.
places where
I
you're
think
defining,
Okay.
you
Theory,
know.
everything in a science is sort of theoretical.
Well, we'll figure out what
Yeah,
those
No,
but
I,
are
wait,
after we figure out the.
Is
I thought we had already
That's
said
just
that we thought technology belonged under engineering. That in fact, we could just roll technology into
Yeah,
engineering.
you know, if
Yeah,
there's
that's
a chapter
fine. Well,
like history.
the question is,
history
does,
and theory, then
Does
philosophy should
technology
be there.
go under engineering, or does engineering go under
I
technology?
think
Give
we
me a
should
list,
do- I
give,
think we should
no,
do both
and technology comes
and
under engineering.
Yes.
Well,
I think we
because
should
in
do both
architecture,
technology.
Are they synonyms?
in architecture school, engineering goes under technology.
Really? Give me
And
a,
so what we will,
well, okay, but let's do an
Well,
area of technology that's not
that's,
engineering.
that's part of the discussion.
No, that's what I'm wondering.
Well,
think
using
technology.
computers versus programming them, you know, learning AutoCAD would be technology that's not engineering, I guess. Using Microsoft Word, using email is
Once
technology
again-
which is not engineering.
Okay, but I would almost say that IT is a super topic. It certainly will be in the next generation. Or it will just be inherently rolled into
IT
everything
will be
else.
under technology.
Yeah, that's probably right. I think that's,
IT will be under bio, nano, everything is going to affect space architecture, even biotechnology will, nanotechnology will. So it should be all under technology, IT and everything. Because
Well,
IT.
yeah,
but we were
right
just-
now, that's
but
how
we
we
just
have it. We
discussed
have
this.
IT and
Whether
then
or not we should
technology.
actually
Yeah,
have
you said that
technology.
IT should be a super topic. I
Well-
don't agree. I think it should be under
But
technology.
Susmita,
We
I was
have-
saying that in the context of, I didn't think technology belonged by itself at all, that we had engineering.
But IT needn't be any, or is not, or mustn't be, no, sorry, technology, because perhaps there are programs for designing and so on, so that's not technology anymore.
Yeah,
that's
it kind of gets
drafting.
old.
Why isn't it technology?
Oh, no, I didn't know there was no.
AutoCAD, I mean, is it technology?
Because
So is a pencil
we
a
do not have
technology?
any-
You only
It's a skill.
learn its use.
I would say-
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also
It's a tool.
technology. It's a tool, yes, tools.
Yeah, but
Tools,
it's a
maybe we
skill,
should have
you know,
tools
to
that
do
are
that.
super
The use of the tool is a skill, which is usually taught in the context of something else. So a pencil is a technology just as much as a computer. And in traditional architecture, you learned to use it, right? The skill of using it.
I personally find the word technology a little bit vague.
That's it. I mean, I'm just.
It folds into everything.
But Susmita did bring up a couple things that are making me give pause to that argument, because nanotech
Just a second.
and biotech are rising up, and they are neither science nor engineering, but somewhere in between.
In technology.
Well,
I would put them into
well, I don't know,
technology, but
bio-
AutoCAD is definitely a skill.
Biotechnology is
Yeah.
engineering, I would say. It's
You know, in
bioengineering.
architecture, there are alternative titles. Instead of technology, in some places they have tectonics and IT. Like for HKU has that. You have tectonics and then
And
you have
tectonics
IT.
is not
Tectonics
technology.
is not
Tectonics is form.
But
form making.
we have all of our technology courses in the tectonics title.
Wow, you guys are out there.
Yeah, so from school to school, I mean, everybody has their super topics that they do.
We have technics and tectonics, it's two parallel.
I like techniques. I like techniques. That's different from engineering.
It's written in Greek.
I don't know what that means.
Technique is another way of saying it.
No.
Aren't we risking that we're starting to define terms too much, whereas we should ask the question, for instance, structural systems, do we give a cross in liberal arts or in aerospace engineering? Because else we have a hell lot of
We don't
terms
want to
to
split hairs on
redefine.
terminology. I agree.
What do we do with the skill list of 200 skills later on? Because we have to do something with it. And
Because we've
if
already
there
signed our
will be
names to a blank
many
check.
of these skills will only have a cross at a very specific, like a point like aero technology. What is it? No, for instance, space architecture or whatever at only one point. So is this really interesting?
Well, I mean, and the
We don't be so
likelihood,
specific.
as you know, which is when you follow what you're saying, to the likely end is that we will walk out of the room with a document that represents an education which none of us,
Can ever
has
be-
had.
Why did I do that?
Or
you know, and so it's.
Yeah, and along those lines, I'm just sitting here having a thought, and that is,
Well, you do that a lot, and I like that about you.
well, thank you, is that, you know, I read, whenever I first started going into architecture, I read this thing in the catalog that you get about all the schools in the country, and it said that, you know, you'll get a certain amount of your education in school, and then you get the rest of it in practice, and that the total amount of time you have to go to school to get everything at a given time would take 22 years.
Which raises once again
So-
the chimera of that distinction Mark wanted to make about the on-the-job training track, or the outside of institution track and inside the institution track.
My point is that there's some kind of baseline education that the aerospace architect or designer needs to have, and then there's going to be, you know, stuff that they're going to get, you know, whenever they go into practice.
Would you like another color of pen?
And it kind of occurs to me that what we're doing here is we're creating a comprehensive list of absolutely everything that you have to know.
Amazing thing about transparency.
Is that correct? We're creating a list of absolutely everything that you have to know to be an aerospace architect, which is impractical as an educational guide.
If not impossible.
You
The
can't
question
even-
is
you
that
can't put
okay
too
for
much.
a starting point?
Yeah, I
I think I suspect it's better to throw everything at it
Yes.
and then start pulling back.
otherwise you leave something out, you know, or whatever.
Well, remember there was one point the other day when we were talking about this already, and then we thought, you know, here's a way you could do it. We could have the little X's and then maybe some stars, and in the end it would be a formula like you must have all the stars and at least 5 X's.
Okay, well, I'm about to sign my name here for the Aerospace Architecture Education Charter,
Yeah.
and what I want to know is that are we going to leave here tonight with the charter done, or are we going to have it as a work in progress.
I think we should at least have a draft and then.
We need to have a draft.
Yes.
I've
Then
been
we
here
should
too many
get
times
back to-
before.
Yeah,
When
we
you
should
leave
have
with
a
the
draft.
work in progress, you leave with zip. We gotta have a draft.
We can always fine tune it later, but we need to have a draft.
None of us is gonna have time once we get back.
Okay, we agree on the draft. Let's make a draft.
So let's
just
just
make
go.
a draft.
That's right.
Focus.
All right, science. Physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics. Well, science and mathematics. Arithmetic. Mathematics, but mathematics and everything, calculus, trigonometry. And physics. Chemistry. Right? And then everything.
Okay.
Until set, everything.
So this is the signature page. Sign it and then do your
Yeah, print the name.
and all that information.
Why?
For when we get the final document.
Is social science part of science then, or?
No, in many
some
places,
of-
social science
categorized?
is in many places the super category that includes things like behavioral science, social studies, sociology, anthropology, psychology, political science. So it's big.
Sociology, you say, or social studies?
Sociology. Social studies is usually a kind of, just don't say it.
Here's what I sense is going on. We're listing majors from educational curricula under the super topics, and I thought we were trying to identify competencies and skills.
Yes, that's exactly what we're trying to do, so we have to keep our mind on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'm concerned psychology is, I have no argument that it's a social science.
So this
I'm not
right
sure.
here, I think you're right, because this is too vague, and we have to actually mention skills.
Well, no, wait. Everybody's right, but here's an approach, because what we're trying to do is make sure that we've got all the skills organized in a way that makes sense, that
So
we
we can
believe in.
start with
So
this and then
we
break
start with
it
the
down.
super
Yeah,
topics, and then
okay.
under the super topics we say you must have the psychology of small spaces, or a basic sense of behavioral science. Not everything that goes under social science, but that if you're, in these categories, these are the subtopics or skills that we think are important.
Okay, then we should pick up the pace if we're going to get another
Yeah,
layer
that's right.
of
You
detail.
have to have in the end when
So
you're a
behavioral
space
science is
architect,
different
or if you
from
want to become a
psychology.
space
Psychology
architect.
is this, the mind.
Ah,
Develop
I suspect that space architect is one of those professions that will be incremental.
I'd say let's put, it's okay to put more things down rather than try to debate whether they're overlapping or
Let's
so.
go to
And
history.
then finally you become a registered
No.
professional.
Which one you?
And
History
so
of
you
the
have different
mind.
amounts of those things on
Shall
your
we
way
write
to,
this
and then,
history
but in order to become a registered professional, you have to have
But
all
you
the
can
stars
skip-
and
skip the ones that are on
Yeah, don't write down something that's already
But
documented.
that's good because I think
How
there's
about
nobody in this
architectural
world
history
who
and
can achieve
aerospace
that because there are so
history?
many skills and they are specific.
We have
I
that.
don't disagree,
Yeah,
and I
this
still
is
think we need to
the,
try.
But then
super topics
don't,
that
let's
we
say
will
biology and chemistry, say
it'll
for
have that too.
instance that you have an
Yeah,
idea
aerospace
about
history is
materials.
good.
I think that's
Yeah,
much more,
aerospace
you do
and,
not care how the material works, but you know what it
Well,
can do.
architecture,
Next
history.
generation,
that's actually
learning
Architecture and
biology and
design
chemistry and
history.
Well, you have both of those already on the
Same
matrix.
thing.
Yeah.
design history
Design
is good.
history.
Design
So,
Design
history is
but
good. Yeah.
as a space architect, you would be not really
And if we're
knowing
gonna
about
include-
specific let's say skills or
engineering
material, but you just know that the material exists and that you can work with it and what you can do, but not how it's
then,
produced or so. I think that's too specific.
Marine architecture history. Because again, we need, even though we don't have any representatives here.
Would that be
Well,
technical history?
I don't argue with you.
Or how about, what if we made it more
but I guess
generic
what we're
and
trying
turned
to
it,
do-
call it transportation systems history or something like that?
I don't feel.
Naval is just
I-
one
I
kind
think
of a
that we don't feel
transportation
confident.
system.
I don't
Yeah.
feel confident
And
making
Well, let's
simpler
put it down
list
as
without
a
first seeing, at least arriving
as a
at
second
the
tier thing
maximum.
at least, and then we can.
Like, what, you know,
Specify
we all
later.
sit here going like, well, I have a certain amount of this, and a certain amount of that, a certain amount of the other thing, and I think that's important. Or in my experience, these things have become important. Now remember that on-the-job training is going to be one of those areas in which it's possible
Do
to
we
gain these skills, and that's where I've gained at least half of them.
do we put
So, I'm not gonna put anything on here if I don't have
do we
something.
put philosophy
And I mean, I think
as
that's-
a history and theory then, or
The
But,
problem,
but how else, how would you suggest that we
It's
proceed?
freestanding.
I'm not quite sure, but the
Or
problem
is
I see is
obviously
that
general
in the end,
application
it's just,
maybe,
let's
that's
say
probably the
100
general
skills,
application.
Yeah, but
and
that was a super
that
topic.
nobody, because there are many people
Unless
from
you do like a lot of universities are
different
doing that.
job areas,
Put it in
that nobody
receivership
wants to
under
give
another
up
department.
skills
Because they
which
consider
are
it
necessary
irrelevant.
to become a space architect, but you have to give up some because else there will be nobody who will ever be a space architect. So I think it's easier to do a shorter skill list in the beginning, because later you will have difficulties to shorten, because everybody wants to have his, let's say, his skills in there.
Oh, well.
You know what I would do, Andreas, is put the other, oh, you've already, well.
What?
Well, on a different transparency from the super topics, start writing the subtopics, so that when we remove the page, the subtopics that are important to us, that when we remove the page, then they're not all broken down like college majors anymore. Never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind, never mind. It's different layers of information.
Well,
that
remember,
way.
we have a list of detailed things over here that we already built the other day, and what we're trying to do is figure out the super topics or the categories and put those things.
Okay.
How about exploration history, like non-sevens, and all those guys? They also have extreme environment,
Yeah.
exploration history.
Exploration history.
And then theory, what about philosophy?
I got philosophy.
No, but then,
Oh.
Well, I put it
Under
under
theory.
general education. Do you agree with that?
no, philosophy is pretty
Like,
sophisticated in that sense. Not general, really. It really needs a lot of thinking and intellectual.
Need your signature and stuff.
Philosophy is Okay. what you do with freestanding discipline.
So on
Yeah,
this
it's
page,
not
sign
general,
it
you
from.
really need
Just
to-
pretend to
no,
get
but
well
I
done.
just- I
Specialized
think
thinking.
we put it down to put certain skills in of questioning things. But yeah,
Then make it a super topic then.
What is theory here then? Why
Pick one.
theory? There is no theory then. It's
There's
only
no-
history. I mean, why have, if we don't, in the theory, why have we written theory? I guess it should be just history.
Oh,
right?
theory. Yeah.
It should be just
Should
history.
we take
History.
the theory
Yeah,
away
just history.
and
Yeah.
Well, in traditional or in architectural education, history and theory is almost always grouped together.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
that's why
theory
philosophy and all
is
stuff like
philosophy.
history.
Yeah.
Theory is philosophy. In architectural education, you don't have a separate area for philosophy, but that's really what that is.
Theory, yeah, it's theory.
So put it on, yeah. Put it under.
so are we doing super title philosophy and put theory under philosophy?
No, just leave it under history and theory.
Is everything
Yeah.
okay, Mark?
Philosophy.
I had to make a phone call.
That's the only thing.
Everything's okay?
It's a long story.
All right.
Yeah, that's
You- What I was gonna ask you, but we'll do that.
This one too.
under technology.
Liquefier.
like orbital mechanics, should it be under science? I think it should be under science.
What did you say?
Things like orbital mechanics.
Mechanics is
or optics or any other-
mechanics is not really a science.
It
It's
is.
applied science, isn't it?
I don't want it to become the official archivist, my house is not that big.
Well,
But you on the other hand,
science-
do not have a
it's a
large.
part of
unit.
Include all the engineering disciplines?
It's
Is
a
that
part
part
of
of science?
No,
An engineer, mechanical engineering, electrical, those skills that come with those professions, should those be under science?
Then I'm gonna have to actually also send it back.
well, Mechanics is,
But we
you know,
still
like
need to think in the
Newtonian
long run about
physics for
that.
mechanical engineers, and it's applied, you know, an engineer and everything, I suppose.
Yeah, but that would be under science, won't it be?
Then,
But we
no,
already
I'm
have
not sure.
mechanics,
I would
yeah.
keep it under technology because it's applied science, really. It's not finding the formula
Okay.
to do it, but applying. I think.
What if we change technology to engineering then? Would that make more sense? Since
I would think that, but I'm.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
because then we can list all the engineering disciplines under
under technology, yeah.
engineering.
Yeah.
You want
Amen.
to raise technology?
It's
Well, we
good.
have to describe technology,
Where
what
would-
that means.
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe it's
Where would
something like
materials
history
go,
and
for
theory,
example?
and it could be technology and
As my
engineering.
daughter would
Sure,
say,
there
it's
you go.
good.
Technology and
Like
engineering,
you-
that's
Technology
good.
and engineering.
Yes,
Do it.
then it covers everything.
Do it.
Technology and
Next topic.
Flat check.
Just
Just
yeah, using the accent of choice, pick one and
Do we
then
have-
move on and pick
We
it up.
have pretty many topics under that technology engineering.
Okay, I've
already.
just been sitting here on my
These things are
phone,
missing.
just to see,
Drive
as a control,
technology,
let's see how we're doing as a control.
What?
As a control.
I'm not sure if it's
How different it is.
This looks like out of control.
Oh, that is the hard axis. No.
Yeah, the super topics, let's see if they're, because I just thought, okay, let me sit down on my own and see what I would think the super topics were, because
Manufacturing.
it was getting a little crazy.
Sorry.
I'll
In
I'll
committee.
agree with that one, manufacturing.
Professional
That was
practice
becoming-
also includes things like presentation skills and managerial skills.
Hopefully.
Yeah, well,
I think
you
I
may or
thought
may
you
not
meant
do
under
well.
professional practice, I thought you meant professions.
What is
I would have never
literature?
guessed you would have put communication skills under
In that-
professional
in
practice.
that-
What is organizational management, how is that different?
Usually business,
Okay, why wouldn't that be under professional
you
practice?
just got to do with like economics, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would put that in professional practice.
Okay,
I think
that's fine, so
manufacturing-
that's not a super topic.
Am I the only one that has never heard of those things grouped under a term called professional practice?
Oh, I guess it's, they're
Maybe.
not
I mean,
one.
so if I'm the only one, then I'll.
I don't think you really find that in the AIAA, American Institute of Architects Handbook of Professional
Well, you find
Practice.
it, you'll find, it's on the IDP. It's one of the boxes you have to check off if you want to take the exam. You have to have a certain amount of experience in professional practice. It's so super.
No, professional practice, but I don't think that communication skills are in the Handbook of Professional Practice other than the
No.
injunction
And
that
then how many of
all work
us,
must be done on the basis of written contracts.
how many of us would have managed to get any work done at
If
all
you
at
look at the
NASA if we
second
were
page
not
of
good at
that-
making
that list
presentations?
right there.
Oh, yeah, of course.
These are all.
How many of us
But
would be at
it's-
this conference if we couldn't?
But
write
it's
a
not unique to being an architect or a space architect.
And,
And yet it's fundamental.
I'm willing to
It's
go
more
with
fun, in a
something
way,
that
it's more
says-
fundamental. Speech is more fundamental.
It could also include
Than
things
profession.
like the use of the electronic tools that are a part of professional practice, like AutoCAD or Microsoft Project, or,
But I guess my concern is that we not dominate the vocabulary with things from civil architecting when the application domain is outer space or space or aerospace. So I'm
trying-
offering that up just as a warning.
okay, but you are also one of the people that, you're one of the main reasons that I even thought of putting that as a super category, because a lot of the subcategories that you were throwing out 2 days ago would fit, the only way I can think of organizing.
I'm with
these
you
is-
118%. I just didn't know what it meant was my problem. I
Right.
never heard that phrase.
Okay,
Because I didn't know what it meant. But now that I know what it means,
Just one idea how we could perhaps reduce the list of skills, because we have those topics right now, and then we give them marks from A to 10, from 1 to 10, if they are more or less important, and then we fill them up with skills. Because if there's one of them who is just important or enough for a 4, there won't be skill in this category.
Okay. I see the reason you're saying that. I guess I'd like to try to go back. Why don't we see if everybody understands the concept that I was proposing before, and then if everybody agrees with it, which is that we put a non-hierarchical set of skills up, and then each box, right, we put in an X or a star. And in the end, there's a formula. And in order to be really properly qualified, you have to have all the stars and a certain number of X's.
But
Obviously,
should we finish
the X's
this
are therefore
exercise
less
first?
important, and you don't have to have them all. So, and until we get there, we should just finish what we're doing first.
I'm trying to
So
stay focused
then,
on one
we're
problem
not,
at a time.
let's not make the hierarchy yet. Things that are important, whether they're very important or little important, we're just trying to capture so we don't miss anything.
I think that there are too many skills and we'll have trouble in the end to
Okay,
work with
let's
them.
register, you know.
Well,
The super
one
topics
thing
we were
that I hope
working
that you
with was
don't,
good. I mean,
I
we
hope
need
you
to
don't
add
get
a couple more
intimidated by
from
all
here
the
to
skills,
that, but
because
we
nobody's
should
gonna
continue
do
because we're
Yeah,
losing
that's
time.
fine.
We should add, like the ones
But,
which we're missing
I
and
think
the other one we
it's
should
very
add.
difficult to work
But we should
because I
continue
saw-
the,
That's what, 87 or something like
so
that.
what is
So we
missing
have
in the other
87
one that we were
skills and
discussing? I think
we'll
engineering is,
Yeah, but I was just doing this on my own while we were going. It
Well,
actually
one thing
started,
that
this
you
one
have to
started
realize is
morphing
that
towards this, which is kind of
modeling this
design.
in
Take the
video
union
that
up to intro.
Literature.
does
Literature,
have
is that
some,
theory? What do you mean?
almost 100 skills.
I mean, is it technical?
I mean,
Very
literature.
explicit, and it
Okay,
helps us
like fiction or
to set up
Great
courses that teach
Great
Okay.
thinkers.
skills specifically.
so is that,
No,
would
but
that
it's
not
not
be
philosophy.
fine
but not
art?
People
philosophy.
throwing in those doubts.
How do you mean it? But
Yeah.
I mean literature.
influence you?
How does it
What skills would you put under literature?
You could put
how about
science
philosophy
fiction.
and science fiction?
No, that's,
I think that
remember,
to a
we
certain
have to put skills under these categories.
How about
We
history,
should
theory, and
just
literature,
start,
so
I
it
think,
includes
making
all
grosses
three?
in there. And
Well,
I think
Because
there's
if
one
we create
person
too
out.
many super topics, I mean, it's just
Literature.
Isn't that something like general like writing skills that you also?
Because we can
Maybe
discuss hours about one
I'm asking,
Okay, what do you mean by, what skills would go under literature?
distance, it's much easier.
Yes,
Because that's what these
No,
categories.
that's a good point. The skill is the skill set.
constructive.
That's a good point. So maybe we need to take that up. Because what I was really doing, I put this up just to check, because I'm not saying I'm replacing your list,
Okay.
I'm just saying,
Would you agree to
I was,
take it
but
off?
I sat down and I said, what do I consider the basic areas of education, regardless of, so that's where I started with literature, this old-fashioned classical education. So,
So just take it off. if
Take
you
it off.
object. There we go. All right.
Well,
I like manufacturing. I'm missing technology. I'm really
Engineering.
missing
you
technology.
really don't think it goes under engineering?
No, I don't think so.
like materials technology, I mean, what,
I
it's
mean,
not
there's,
engineering.
it's,
It's,
I would
it's
assume
science.
that's what
So
I-
far,
I
it's
like
so
knowledge.
far
Too
that
many
goes
people
under
talking.
science.
Too many people talking at one time.
So at the moment, that's considered a science.
But-
And manufacturing also involves materials, but in a technical sense.
Then maybe it should be materials and manufacturing.
That's just too detailed, too specific.
I don't have a problem with that.
What on the manufacturing, is it,
No, I mean, I think
production,
materials,
innovation, testing,
Building.
qualification, what is under manufacturing?
All that stuff.
Yeah, I heard something.
All that stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's continue with
But I think,
the,
with all these new technologies, not to give it, I mean, give it an extra super topic.
Let's trade for that.
Andreas, how about adding
Well, we have science and we have
Yeah, well,
engineering.
Wait,
The science does
that up, you know.
develop technologies which the engineers apply. I find this is sort of living
Yeah, but
together.
this, what you're saying, this implies for me that technology cannot be part of engineering, not only. It's like,
No,
I don't know.
well, it is part of engineering, but not
that's not right.
only.
that's right. The science develops the technology, the engineering applies it for some good to mankind or some utilization of it.
But I
Because
think-
it is the combination of technique or skill
Oh,
and
no.
logos.
I don't know,
But we then cannot make a cross was at the Architecture technology. Do you want to, because also the artist has certain techniques.
Can you explain then, I mean, we use the word techniques a fair amount in architecture, but it's good to have people around who don't have that same education, because then I say, how can I explain the difference between technology and techniques?
Techniques are methods for doing things.
No, this isn't QUES. It's CS.
Then you lost it.
Yeah, I know.
Under sciences.
That's why I said.
That's why I said.
Vocabulary alert.
I try to explain it. You better not
So
put it
that's
down.
right, yeah.
Let's add life sciences under sciences.
Yeah.
Maybe we should finish the listing that we
Which is
Yeah, go back
I
then.
still would argue for technology. I mean, there would be
we should
really a
consolidate
change
all of
in
that and
the,
look at that.
I was trying, I didn't come up
in
with
the way we perceive technology in the importance it will have, and it already has.
Those are a separate sheet of
we have
I don't know.
examples of the
It's really
But
the
what are,
21st
remember, these
century.
categories are to capture
Here.
skills and competencies. So what would be a skill or competency that you would put under technology that you think would go there rather than say science or engineering?
But it's really mixed. I mean, it's everything is, it's not only
Can you put back your thing again?
It was not only competence and skills, it was, you know.
What should we add from here to
That's the
we have
problem.
the outside? Fine arts. Would be
Arts and social
But
science.
when we started,
How about arts and social science?
Not invented here?
Having
We
that.
don't need fine
No,
arts.
all I'm saying is I can't think of something that I can put under either art or science.
They might be wrong.
So I'm asking if you have an example.
As you pointed out, all the assumptions
So what would be, what would be like maybe arts and
in
social science?
numbers, that unless you accept the assumptions that others don't work.
so we're yeah, but that's a difference. That's
Yeah, you don't need it for to be an architect.
Alright.
They will,
Go out.
so important than we are now.
Let's go on to engineering now.
Or genetics or whatever.
Anyone else in engineers can go.
Do that, because
How
of
about
that.
that? Tell me about the subject. Tell me
It
about
has to be a
So you just use a rule of thumb?
it. Yeah, but since I built a building, it's a pretty decent rule of
in
thumb.
real life, so that,
Practice.
you know,
So
the
there
study
was-
has
yeah,
been
yeah,
done
yeah.
in real life.
Okay, technology, engineering, personnel, what do you want under there? Come on.
Investment.
Okay, I thought we